Don Svehla and ECN are known for providing a podcast to the industry. They did it for over 5 years. They did it every single week. They were credible when they did it. They just showed the medium to this industry.
The archive you guys are building with 20 episodes under your belt, those are going to help people time and time again. That's what a wealth of knowledge that is becoming.
Strong companies, lasting partnerships, powerful events. Welcome to the Experience Builders Podcast.
Not often Experience Builders gets to have a celebrity on the show. I don't know. I know there's a difference between famous and infamous, but and I don't know where the line is. I think Don probably qualifies as both. Super excited to have him on the show today, but also for what we're going to be talking about that he and I are doing together. So
Don, how did you meet Chris first?
Just through industry functions, you know?
Yeah. Any glowing first impressions?
It all blurs when you go back that far when the show floor is about. Some people have minds like a vice.
Careful, Don. It's a kid-friendly show. Let's not go there, because if you go there, I'm going there, and you know where there is. So
let's not go there.
Yeah. Well, Chris, Don, I first heard about you from Chris because he told me about a podcast that you had for a little over 5 years, Don and Mike show. How has, content changed since you first started that podcast? It's completely different now.
Great question.
Yeah, I tell you, when we did it just to confirm it with you, Khalil, that I was the sidekick. I was the one that made Mike look even better. He had a lot of talent in that field, but I was the color guy. And when we started out, we talked way too much about the weather and stuff, just wasting people's time. You know, a lot of it was during COVID, so people had nothing else to do. So maybe they tune in longer. I don't know. But we got better at it towards the end. But it was always talk about anything.
Yeah. No, it's definitely hard to find things to talk about. But
Khalil, you know the expression early mover advantage, right? And there's all kinds of positives that can come from that. The downside of being first is you are plowing the road and figuring it out. And these guys literally were years ahead in our industry. I know there was other podcasts. They were just way ahead of everybody. And literally we're figuring it out, did figure it out. And it was one of the things, particularly during the pandemic, that our industry just gravitated to, because it was familiar, it was safe. They talked about current things, and I thought it was a great service that they offered. It.
Yeah,
you keep it focused.
Yeah,
it's not as much a variety show, which Mike and them started doing the association news, which is a needed thing, but then they're jumping around all kinds of stuff. So there's a need for everything. There's plenty of room out there.
Plenty of room.
Did Don Svehla just say focused? Because those are not usually. I don't usually hear Don preach about that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, a friend.
That's great. Well, it definitely is hard to be first. It's uncharted territory that you're going into, but you definitely saw the value in having a podcast. And now that you're no longer part of the Don and Mike show, you found a new opportunity to get back into this form of content with Experience Builders.
Yes. And if I could point out what might be our very next one that we'll do internally, whether we outsource for a little help here in Vegas, we're probably going to analyze the people on the move, which is our second most popular button click after the trade show calendar. And we're going to discuss the new hires and the movements of people from company to company, even talk about some obituaries at the end, because that's where they belong. But that's where you're providing value. We're giving an expert dissection of what it means with these people. Why did this company hire 17 people over this last month? Why did so-and-so move after 26 years to there? Is it a good idea? Bring it around a celebrity panel, and maybe those will all be the CEMs or the other certification. Come on, we'll put you on the show. Add some color to it. That's where we're hoping to go. But I will not start anything we can't continue. They used to be, I'll start anything but anything now has to be sustainable. But that's easy. It can still be segmented into smaller bites. But for a once a month thing, talking about the people moves of the month, that's probably our next move. That'll be an internal one, probably.
Very cool. Well, yeah, you got the opportunity to partner back with a podcast, and now it's with Experience Builders. And Chris and I are really excited to have all of the contributions from ECN, Exhibit City News, and the opportunities that it provides for us to grow the show, but also to have new forms of topics and guests on the show. Chris, tell us what this means for you and for Crew XP and for Experience Builders.
No, this is really excited about when Don and his team first broached the idea. Look, Don Svehla and ECN are known for providing a podcast to the industry. They did it for over 5 years. They did it every single week. They were credible when they did it. They just showed the medium to this industry, and this is an industry that tends to move a little bit slower with things like technology. But fast forward to current day, I think again these guys were early movers. I think we'd all agree that most people, myself included, have become visual learners, right? So I digest information better visually, and even audio. I'll count that. I think served up in snackable bites, we tend to process and retain better. And a lot of what I've learned, Khalil, from you 18 months ago, we started Experience Builders. My experience was watching the Don and Mike show and paying attention to what those guys did. So love what we've become. And I know the audience. I mean, Exhibit City News is the industry people's publication. It's the place you go. As Don mentioned, if you want to know what people in the industry are doing, and we are a very communal tribe, right? We love to know what each other are up to. So people on the move, you feel great when you see colleagues being promoted or companies that are being successful. Yes, you track what your competitors are up to, and yet you begrudgingly have to give them a high five when you see that. So the ECN website and the publication was just, it's how our industry plugs in. When I think about the audience that we're building at Experience Builders, which is people that work in the business event space, I know they're on ECN. So that long way to say, when the opportunity to align and put this product out on Don's website, it just seemed like a natural. There's tens and tens of thousands of visitors that go to the ECN website, and we think many of them are interested in our offering, and I'm excited to learn if that's the case in the next 12 months. So,
yeah. And Don, you've been running ECN for 30 years now, and you told us before we talked here about the new slogan that you guys have, "True to the Trade." What does that mean? Why is that kind of the march going forward?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It sort of came on suddenly. It made such good sense that the minute I heard the words strung together, I go, that's it. And it's sort of like bringing everything full circle. When you think about what has Exhibit City News meant to the industry for 30 years, we're true to the trade, and it's the only place we've been, and we follow people through their whole careers. We follow their kids through their careers. It's a unique position for certain.
Don, I love the phrase. I'm sorry I didn't think of it. I mean, it's our DNA too, right? We launched last year, Built for Partnerships, because we've turned away from any exhibitor brand direct business. We only serve the trade. We are true to the trade ourselves. So the structure, our processes, even the way we hire people, we have no business development people. They're our partners. Without them, we have no work. So we're all in with that same spirit of being true to the trade. So love what you did. Love what you did.
Yeah, it's great. And I mean, same thing with this podcast. We want it to be true to the trade. We want it to be for the people that are in the business of events. That's our slogan for Experience Builders, a show about the business of events. And so with that, we're not going to be releasing episodes twice a week or anything like that. Not something that we can keep up with because we want to have such good quality over quantity in our show. I want to talk about what that quality means. What is a quality piece of content, whether it's an episode or a clip from an episode, all the way to an article, a newsletter, whatever ECN is putting out? What do you look for in a quality piece of content for this space?
Well, what we look for is what affects people's pocketbooks is like, what are the main things? You know, people got to pay their bills. They got to save for retirement. They got to pay college. There's no shortage. And with inflation and everything lately, it rings truer today than in the past. But what affects people's pocketbooks? And then also of importance is to give credit to the industry, and the people that work in it. And you can't put a quantity or on something like that. But those are the two things. I mean, look at some of the content you guys have already had in your 20 episodes so far. Yeah. Dan Sarabin, EDPA, Michael McMahon, talking about important things about repopulating the industry. And that's what it's all about. That affects people's pocketbooks too.
Great point, Don. You cannot go wrong. The internet rewards authenticity, right? And listeners will reward meaningful, relevant, usable information. They're experts at knowing if they feel like they're being sold or hustled something. So again, the approach we've taken is bring on really smart people. And we spend a great deal of time making sure we're matching up the right guest with the right topic. We want subject matter experts. Michael McMahon talking about workforce. It just couldn't have been any better fit. Dan Sarabin talking about the economy and really, is it the new competitor? Is it a new thing beyond, the economy back in the day, right, Don? We used to just think about what are interest rates, and recessions happen every 7 years. And now it seemed like the economy has a major shift. It could be, a social justice event. It could be an election in another country. It could be news coming out about one of our elected officials, and the market swings left and right. So as business owners and leaders, I'm constantly thinking about that and how it affects my business. So want to have the right people talking about the right subjects. And so far we've done great. We had a great interview. You mentioned, Don, you were just out in Boston visiting Will Work for their annual meeting and their Will Work University program. So we had Noelle Webster, one of their top young people, talking about working remotely a few months back. Blown away about what you think you might know about remote workers, right? Are they as productive? Is there real value there? And then you talk to somebody and you realize how absolutely all in on their job. It's not a job. They've made it a lifestyle choice. So they can work for great companies, even though it may not be located locally there. So anyway, those are the topics that come up. These are what business leaders are talking about on their own anyway. We just think it's let's expand the conversation, bring those experts in and bring more people in, because so many of us in business are struggling with those same issues and trying to slay the dragons of whatever those topics are. So super excited that ECN's going to help us reach maybe a broader audience. And I know, Khalil, you'll talk a little bit about how to subscribe to both ECN and this podcast maybe a little bit later.
What I love about the partnership is that, we're all in on the industry. We're trying to help this industry thrive and grow and be one of the best places to work. We're invested in that. But with this podcast and this partnership with ECN, it's really about investing in the individual, about helping the individual business owner, the individual project manager invest in themselves and understand how they can overcome the challenges that are faced before them. Anything from capital financing to hiring better people to having to control your culture and grow your culture. Everything that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, we want to cover those topics. That's what quality content is. And what's great about this is with the things that we talk about on the show, now Exhibit City News gets to promote that to over 40,000 people in this space. And it also helps Exhibit City News get even better content in their newsletters and their articles because they're pulling from the topics that we're talking about on the show. and doing further research and coming up with guides and other articles that are going to help people really dive deeper into these topics. So wonderful partnership. I think it's going to help the industry as a whole, but even just the individual that's in the space invest in themselves and get across their challenges.
You know, you made a great point, Khalil. We had our EDPA Access event earlier this month, and one of the if there was a theme, and Don, you'd agree, right? It was community. This industry really is a family or a tribal community, and to your point, Khalil, the key ingredient in community is the individual, right? And so you have two guys here that have not lost sight of that. I am just obsessed about making sure anything we put out is helpful to, if it's not the owners, it's the managers and the leaders that are developing people. It's the new person, 53% new in this industry in the last 3 years, that's coming in from either a different vertical market, or maybe you're a young person and you've started your career, your professional career. These are conversations that if you hear them, they're going to help you onboard quicker into an industry that is like no other. And Don, what is it we used to say? Is it if you've been in this industry 3 years or longer, or is that down to 1 year now, right? Once you're in it a certain period of time, you really just never leave, do you?
No, you're in it for life. You become a lifer.
Mm-hmm.
You do. And it really is it's the pace of play. It's the creative nature. It's a very visual industry. We solve problems every day. It's project work. So you build something, whether it's an exhibit or a show with a series of them, and then it's over. And then you move on to the next one. So it's fast, it's fun, it's visual, it's hard, but it is so worthwhile. And I can't say enough about this alignment, because with Donna, we've got a kindred spirit that cares about the industry as much as we do, and really appreciates this podcast medium, and recognizes it as it's the new preferred way that people are learning. And I suppose I would say even marketing, right? It's the new webinar. It's the new slide deck you send to somebody. This is how people learn. And, full confession, we know you're not going to sit and listen to a 45 podcast in one setting. So we're going to serve that up in slices and snackable bites, so you can pick and choose those 5 and 7 minute lessons that allow you to pick the subject you want to feed your brain with. And we want to make sure we're putting great guest speakers and experts in front of you. That's the mission. That's what you're going to see from us in 2024.
Right. Chris, too, the archive you guys are building with 20 episodes under your belt.
Yeah.
Those are going to help people time and time again. Some are more time sensitive, but that's what a wealth of knowledge that is becoming.
Well, yeah. And you know what I love, Don, and again, I give Khalil's team full credit for teaching me this. When we serve that up in 5 and 7 minute portions, right? And there's 4 to 5 for the really great snippets, clips like that in each session. 20 episodes means we've got 80 or 100 of those, right? So that's and we think that there's not a shelf life to those. They are great, meaningful, pieces of business advice from some of the smartest people in the industry. And when we serve that up, a year from now, somebody might hire a new sales manager, or there might be a new operations manager coming over from Amazon to an exhibit house company. And they're good at certain things, but they don't necessarily understand our shit. We think there's going to be a library of things which you can use to help strengthen your bench, whatever that position is. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, this has been a fun announcement episode of the partnership. There's lots to look forward to for our audience. If you're already an Experience Builders listener and you're a subscriber, thank you for being a part of our audience. If not, please go subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, you can follow the Crew XP page on LinkedIn, where you'll see all those clips come into your feed as you're on LinkedIn. If you are a part of the Experience Builders audience and you are just now learning about Exhibit City News, you don't subscribe for some reason to their newsletters or their articles, go to their website, exhibitcitynews.com. receive all the information. It's going to be a really valuable place, because the things that we talk about on the show are only going to be gone into deeper levels on the Exhibit City News website and in their content. So make sure you go and subscribe and receive all the content that they are putting out. And then if you're a company that is looking to advertise in this space, lots of new opportunities to advertise as well through Exhibit City News and even with Experience Builders. So you can get in contact with us through the show notes. Also, we want to know who you want to hear from. If there's a guest or a topic even that you want covered on this podcast, we'd love to hear from you. You can go in the show notes and suggest a topic or suggest a guest directly to us, and we'll do our best to fulfill your request. Thank you for listening, guys. What a wonderful announcement. Excited for 2024, and I hope it's a great year together.
No, looking forward to it. Don, great to see you here. I know I'll see you at the next safety meeting out there, one of these cities. And for those of you that don't know what a safety meeting is, man, you ain't at the cool kids table, right? And that secret society is just grew by 350 more. So we'll save that for another reference. But great to see you, Don. Thanks again for joining us on this episode of Experience Builders, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Experience Builders podcast. Check out our website in the show notes or visit crewxp.com to learn more.